Hi guys, welcome back aboard good old Athena. By the end of this week I hope we'll be ready to leave Trinidad, but as of right now we have a partly disassembled genset, absolutely no food aboard the boat, and a bunch of other loose ends to tie up, so let's get to work. If you're new here, we're Ava and Mess. I spent 7 years on a somewhat extensive refit of our 1987 Trident Warrior sailboat named Athena. It was an oh glorious sanding extravaganza. We left Denmark and started cruising full-time, sailing down Europe's west coast, and then we had our biggest adventure yet, crossing the Atlantic. Now we're sanding and sailing our way around the world. We've been having some issues with our Fisher Panda genset that's located here in our technical compartment. They sent us a new actuator. This is the old one, we swapped it out. The odd thing is, after having swapped the actuator, we're still seeing issues, but they're not the exact same issues we were seeing before. Here is the current state of our genset, nicely propped up by the ABYC standard. Before installing the new actuator, what we would see was a slow and steady decline in voltage and RPM on our servo display until we would eventually get a low voltage error on the genset display. Now, after installing the new actuator, what we're seeing is, well, not exactly the same. We have seen a couple of instances of that slow decline, but more consistently what we're seeing is more of a sudden death. So as soon as we put, say, 13 amps worth of load on the genset, then we just more or less instantly get a low voltage error. It's worth noting that when we put 13 amps worth of load on the genset, we also see a significant amount of smoke and soot from the exhaust. Now our genset should be able to handle more than 13 amps. So last week we had a couple of mechanics swing by, and this week we've had an electrician swing by, and Fisher Panda in the US and Germany are also back on the issue. A few months back I made a video complaining about the customer support, or the lack thereof, from Fisher Panda, but I'm happy to report that that does seem to have improved, and the floodgates of information appear to be open. As I mentioned in that video, I don't mind as much when mechanical items break, because there's no point in tilting at windmills, right? It's kind of in their nature. Mechanical things break, it's what they do. But poor customer service, that is something that is within the realm of us mere humans to be able to control, so I am really happy to see this improvement. I've gotten an explanation from Fisher Panda as to why the customer service experience was lacking a little bit in our initial contact. Without going into too much detail, it was a long series of unfortunate events, and it does sound like they have made some improvements to hopefully not end up in that same situation again, so fingers crossed. Anywho, back to the matter at hand. As you can see, the exhaust elbow from our genset is currently off of the genset. That's because Fisher Panda now seems to think that this is a mechanical issue, the current theory being either too high back pressure or poor compression. They asked us to remove the exhaust elbow here to be able to inspect the inside to see if there was any kind of buildup blocking the exhaust, but it looks a little bit sooty in there, but there's clearly nothing blocking the exhaust. I haven't yet checked the rest of the exhaust system, but with the exhaust elbow nice and clear, it still kind of takes the high back pressure off of the table. And that means the next suggestion was a compression test. Now, as soon as they suggested a compression test, my initial thought was, but wouldn't we then have other issues, like for instance issues starting? But apparently that's not always the case. Anywho, our next stop is a compression test. To be completely frank, I am scared shitless of what this compression test is going to reveal, because if we do have bad compression, and if that bad compression is caused by corrosion around the valve, well, that could be caused by a bit of moisture or salt water getting into the engine. And if that is the cause of the corrosion leading to the bad compression, well, then the most likely culprit for that would be the installation here aboard the boat, meaning it would be my fault and of course not covered by warranty. That would be embarrassing and also probably a little bit expensive. Yesterday we had a local genset expert aboard the boat, Tony, and according to Tony, my installation looks fine. He couldn't find any issues with the way I've installed the genset, so that gives me a little bit of comfort. But yeah, we just won't know until we know. Now, I don't have a compression test gauge, so we'll have to outsource that job to the local mechanics. They should have time to do that in a few days, but while we're waiting for that, let's start by having Ava give you a tour of this super spiffy marina we're in.
In last week's video, Mess said that this is one of the nicest marinas that we have ever stayed at, and it really is. There are like a ton of really nice amenities. It's the nicest and it's one of the cheapest. It's about 38 US dollars a night, which compared to some of the places we stayed in Europe and for all the amenities you get here, that is a really good deal. So I thought I would give you guys a little tour of the marina, and where I want to start is right behind me. Bum ba ba, bum ba ba, bum ba ba. Yes, the thing I am most excited about is the trash can. It is literally right on the finger next to the boat. You just gotta hop off and throw the garbage out. You know, in most marinas, you have to like walk to like some obscure place to the dumpster to throw out your trash, but it's right here. I mean, this is truly living in luxury. Next, I'll take you on a quick walk up the dock to the facilities, and that's another thing that's really nice about this marina. It is pretty small, and I think we're used to staying in these giant marinas in Europe where you have to like walk pretty far to get to any of the facilities, but this place feels really small and quaint, which is really nice. Just a little side note, as you can tell behind me, there are a ton of power boats here, but our boat neighbor, Jim, aboard Capers, he was telling us that about 10-15 years ago, this marina would have been filled with sailboats and cruisers, and that they would have potlucks and everybody would like hang out and swap stories, and oh, that just sounds like it would be really cool. But yeah, now it's mostly power boats and fishermen. Just a quick jolt up these steps and down that walkway are the bathrooms and laundry. Another quick side note, you can also buy ice here. How nice is that? There's the men's facilities, and here are the women's. Hello. First and foremost, the bathrooms are air conditioning, which is just over the top. There's 2 toilets and 2 shower stalls, and just to top it off, there are fresh flowers every day. And just another little like cherry on the cake, that the shower stall is like 2 separate compartments. There's the shower stall that closes, and then a little dressing area so none of your stuff gets wet. That is just so nice. All right, if you can hear the Demogorgon sound in the background, I am so sorry. I don't know what it is, but it's making it a little tricky to film, but we shall continue on. Next to the bathroom is the laundry room. There's 2 washers and 3 dryers. And again, it's actually a pretty good deal for a wash and dry each. It's about 20 TT, which is around $3 US. And compared to other laundromats that we've been to, this is a pretty good deal. Next, we just have to go up these steps, then down these steps to the next glorious thing, the gym. There's a couple treadmills and a set of weights, and what more can you need? It has been really nice coming here to work out every morning instead of the little space next to the nav station where I'm usually accidentally kicking Mess or the bulkhead. I don't think I mentioned it before, but the hotel in Marina is called Cruise Inn, and Mess is gonna kill me for not starting off with that, but I think a few people stay here for vacation, quite a few people stay here for fishing, but mostly it's used by people in the oil industry because Trinidad has a pretty big oil industry, and there's actually quite a few refineries in this area. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, there's a pool. I mean, come on, look at that crystal blue water. We've been to quite a few marinas, but this is our first one with a pool, and I was like a little kid when I saw it. I was like, oh my God, a pool. And I think that just having the pool alone is worth staying here. We've seen the pool, the gym, the ice machine, but wait, there's more. Through the gate, down the path, across the dock. They have not 1, but 2 restaurants. Down below is Cafe Del Mar. It's a little bit more casual, and they have pizza and burgers, really good burgers and fries for 10 bucks. Really suggest that. And then upstairs, it's a little bit fancier. I suggest the fish and chips and pina coladas. And the best part, when we're eating at either of the restaurants, we have a good view of Athena because she's sitting in her slip right there. It is quite the luxurious little spot, and even though we're trying to get the last few things done on Athena, get some boat jobs done, it's been extremely helpful having such a nice place to stay, especially having those air-conditioned bathrooms.
In last week's video, we showed you guys a bunch of the stuff we hauled back to the boat. For instance, this little air gun with a special connector at the end of it, which fits into the BCD hose on a scuba set. Our poor NAS box was on while I was standing inside of the boat, and that has left it in quite a messy state, but it's the perfect opportunity for testing my new toy. I think this will be very useful for blowing up fenders, de-dustification, and also just getting water off of scuba gear. As a reward for his participation in this experiment, I upgraded Mr. Nasbox with an additional 2 terabytes, so we have room for more footage. We have a list of a few other boat jobs we need to complete before we're ready to leave, like for instance getting rid of the window air conditioning units that kept me from going insane up on the hard. Back when I installed the air conditioning unit, I placed it on top of our hatch, figuring that it would be easier to clean any gunk off of the hatch rather than removing and then having to rebed the hatch. Cleaning up that yucky gunk seamlessly transitioned into our next project, which was cleaning up all of the yard dust and other stuff off of the deck. Everybody loves a good boat scrubbing, or maybe just more so the end result. Now the water here at the dock is free. My one and only complaint about cruising is that the water pressure, at least here on B dock, is almost comically low. Next up, I had to reinstall our rod kicker. I removed it to be able to fit the window air conditioning unit over the hatch opening. Fortunately, it's only held in place with 2 clevis pins, so it is super easy to install. With the deck clean and free of any clutter, we took advantage of there being almost no wind and bent on our staysail and our headsail, complete with a new set of soft shackles. And I got to play with my new super cool mini pliers to add a bit of seizing wire to the shackles. With the boat back in a seaworthy state, we went to PriceSmart and stocked up on everything we'll need for the next 6 months. Back on the boat, I had time to do a quick little test of the 3D printer we brought back to the boat. It seems to have survived the trip, and we'll get back to what these little plugs are at a later date. Now, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So
Our local friends Yusuf and Alana pulled us away from boat work to try a Trinidad must. Doubles. Doubles are cooked chickpeas sandwiched between 2 pieces of delicious fried dough topped with a flavorful slather of tamarind, chutney, and cucumbers. And they are not the easiest or most elegant food to eat, so we had to get a quick lesson from Yusuf, who, word on the street, is a doubles eating professional. Wow, check out his stance and concentration. We are truly learning from a doubles master. Next, it was our turn. Oh boy.
Try and get some of the right. Okay, and then do a bite on the side. On the side, right. Yeah, get somebody, yep.
There you go.
Yep.
And then you beside that has more stuff. There you go.
Got it, that's it.
And you kept your bed clean too. Better than me.
holy, that's very good.
Oh, good.
The combination of savory chickpeas, sweet chutney, and pickled cucumbers is out of this world and a must-try while in Trinidad. Next, they took us to a steel pan yard where we saw the band Phase 2 start to practice for Carnival in February. Alana told us that hundreds of bands participate and compete in Carnival each year, and they start practicing months in advance. Around a month leading up to Carnival, they will start practicing well past midnight after work and school. While they practice, they start off slow, as we heard that night, and as they get better, they speed up the tempo to the normal quick pace. Alana also told us that steel pans originated in Trinidad in the 1930s and were initially made from pounded and tuned oil drums. They are also the only new instruments invented in the 20th century. Steel pans were considered taboo for many years, but now they are embraced by the entire country and are a massive source of pride. Today, to be in a band at Carnival is very honorable here in Trinidad, and people come from all over the world to participate and experience the excitement of Carnival.
It's been a pretty action-packed week here in Trinidad, but the boat is basically ready for us to leave. Now all I have left on my to-do list is to do an engine service, but it is Sunday and I need to get this video rendered and uploaded, so let's save the engine service until next week. Before ending this video, I want to give you the latest update on the Fisher Panda genset saga. So the local mechanic swung by the boat and he did the compression test, and the result of the test was 25 bar. I was feeling very optimistic based on his reaction, so I sent that information off to Fisher Panda Germany, and when I heard back the very next morning, that optimism vanished, because apparently when Fisher Panda gets these motors from the factory, they're seeing compression values between, I think they said 36 to 40 bar, which is a lot higher than 25. I looked up the servicing instructions for the Kubota EA300, I think it is, single-cylinder engine that's inside of our 5000i genset, and that mentioned compression values of, I think the acceptable limit is 26 bar, and then it goes up to, well, let me consult my notes here, it goes up to 35 bar. So yeah, from what Fisher Panda has told me and from what I've been able to find on the internet, our compression does seem like it's at the very best on the low end, and yeah, there's probably some kind of engine issue. The next logical step here is to take the head off of the engine to see what we're actually dealing with. But we can't really do that until we can get our hands on a new head gasket, because I don't want to leave the genset all taken apart. And I'm not sure we can get a new head gasket here in Trinidad easily. And also it makes sense for us to be somewhere where we have easy access to parts. So once we take the head off, we can fix whatever the issue is while we have the head off. So yeah, for us that might mean waiting until we get to the US. I am, of course, a little bit annoyed that we still don't have a working genset, but at least the floodgates of information to the Fisher Panda service people seems to have opened, and we're now seeing much faster response times, and that is definitely going to be super helpful in fixing whatever is wrong with the genset. As I mentioned earlier in the video also, I just really hope it's not my installation that's at fault here, that I haven't somehow installed the exhaust system for the genset in a fashion that'll allow water to flow back up into the engine and cause whatever issue we're going to have in there. But of course the annoying thing here is we won't actually know what the issue is until we get the head off, and before we know what the issue is, we can't really speculate a lot about what has caused it. Now, the only thing giving me a slight bit of optimism right now is that I have had two separate local genset installers aboard the boat to go over the installation, and they've both said that they can't find any issues with my exhaust setup or how I've installed the genset. So yeah, just fingers crossed, guys. I had high hopes that I'd be able to give you guys more of a conclusive conclusion by the end of this video in terms of the genset. But yeah, the next step is going to be to take the head off. I'm going to see, with the help of Joseph, our local friend, if we can find a new head gasket here in Trinidad and what the availability is of parts, because it looks like we might be waiting another week to get a weather window even after I've done the engine service. So maybe we can squeeze in a bit more genset work, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. On an interesting little side note related to the genset, back when I replaced the actuator or servo, which Fisher Panda sent me, there was a sticker on the bottom of it, and it was this exact sticker here. Now, I looked that up on Amazon and saw that you could buy one there for $52 US, and it's this exact one here. Now, the service guy I've been talking to with Fisher Panda, who's a super nice guy, I haven't asked to mention him by name, so I won't, but super nice guy, he told me that he'd seen that video, and actually you can't use the one you buy straight from Amazon, because apparently they open them up and they modify them a little bit on the inside before using them on their gensets. So even though the sticker is the exact same model, make and everything, you can't just buy one off of Amazon. And yeah, now we know, because the floodgates of information are open.
Next week, our local friend Yusuf is going to be taking us out for some adventures.
Yep, and I also think a lot of Trinidadian food, which is going to be really cool, I think.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
And in terms of DIY next week, well, I have the engine service coming up we need to take care of. We also have an idea for a bunch of stuff we want to 3D print with our new 3D printer.
Yep.
And we might possibly also be installing a second inverter charger.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes, indeed. To get 115 volts on the boat and to be able to charge when we're in marinas where the voltage is a little bit unstable, like here.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
That would be really nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's going to be the end of this week's video. We'll see all you guys back here aboard Athena next week for yet more travel and DIY fun. As always, feel free to leave a comment down below, and don't forget,
if you've enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like. See you.
I'm pretty sure you had the whole part.
I think you said, if you've enjoyed this video, and then I say, please remember to leave a like.
Did you only say that part?
I think so.
No,
We gotta check the tapes.
We're gonna
Check
go
the
back
tapes.
and check the tapes. Comment down below and don't forget if you've enjoyed this video.
Please remember to leave a like.
See.
I was right!
Damn it!
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
For once,
Okay.
I'm right. I'm right!